You know, I have a lot of favorite Bible characters, but the character that always stands out to me the most and kind of my favorite throughout Scripture is David. The life of David is so interesting, and the writings of David are so fantastic. And remember, David was a man after God's own heart. After his life was over, the Lord said that about him twice. And you know, one of the Psalms David wrote was Psalm 139. And this particular Psalm is so rich in getting us to a point that we begin to grasp how God knows us and how well he knows us. And David had that intimate relationship with God. And it kind of comes out here as you look at Psalm 139. I just want to look at the first 6 verses of this Psalm. And let's just look at what David said here. He starts off the Psalm by saying, "O Lord, you have searched me and you know me." Now, I never would be one to challenge the wording and accuracy of Scripture, but let me tell you something about this passage, what Charles Spurgeon said about it. Spurgeon said, the Bible here is not accurate. When I first heard that from Spurgeon's writing, I kind of got shocked by him saying it, but listen, it's true. David said, "O Lord, you have searched me and you know me." I want to point out to you something. When you search for something, it's because you lack knowledge. If I took my pen out of my pocket and somehow I dropped it, and I'd look down on the floor, look under the chair, around the room where I'm at, see where did that pen go, because I wouldn't know where it is and I have to search to find it. Listen, God never has to search anything. When he says, "You have searched me, you know me," listen, God knows everything already. It's just the human language doesn't have words enough to describe the greatness and the vastness and the knowledge of our God. So they put it in the best terms that humans can understand. David said, "You have searched me and you know me." And then he says, "You know when I sit and when I rise up." Think of that. Everything you do in life, whether you get up, whether you sit down, whether you walk, whether you lay down, God knows it. He knows everything about what you're doing, when you've done it last, and when you're going to do it again. He knows everything. He goes on to say, "You discern my thoughts from afar." Think on that one for a moment, if you will. You know, before you even think a thought, God knows it. Imagine, before you even think it, God knows what you're going to think next. And he says, "You search my paths, my lyings down, you're acquainted with all my ways." He knows everywhere you're going to go, every person you're going to meet today, every time you're going to drive down the street or walk down a path. God knows it already. He says, "Even before a word is on my tongue, behold, O Lord, you know it altogether." Before you speak a word, God knows what's going to come out next. Now, think about that for a moment. You know, sometimes you say, "Oh, I'm so glad I didn't say that. I almost said this. I'm glad I didn't." Well, wait a minute. It's too late. You got to get to the point you don't even think it, because God knows your heart. And even the thoughts that control the words that come out of your mouth, God is aware of them all. And to be right before God is not just not saying it, it's not even thinking that way, because God knows it before you say it. Verse 5 goes on to say, "You hem me in behind and before, you lay your hand upon me." Now, picture this. God says he's got you surrounded. He's in front of you, he's beside you, he's behind you, and he's got his hand upon you. You can see a prisoner being let out of the courtroom to the paddy wagon. And you notice how they walk out, and the guards are all around him, and they lead him. They got their arm on his hand. They're walking him out and take him out to the car. Or look at it this way. You see a presidential candidate or an official, and he's being protected. And so whether you're guarding a prisoner or protecting someone, they're surrounding, they hem him in behind and before, and they lead him and protect them and take them out where they're going. That's what God does for us. He's always around us. He protects us. He watches over us. And his right hand is upon us. He's got you by the arm. He's protecting you and watching over you. What a tremendous thought to consider. And it goes on in verse 6, to sum up these 6 verses, he says, "Such knowledge is too wonderful for me, too high, I cannot obtain it." And I would challenge you today, when you stop and think about the fact that before you say a word, God knows it. Before you think a thought, God knows it. He's all around you. He knows every path you're going to go, everyone you're going to meet, every place you're going to walk today, every time you put your foot down, he knows all about it. Not to speak of the fact that he's got you hemmed in behind and before. He's keeping you from going places sometimes you shouldn't go, and other times he's protecting you from anything getting to you. What a wonderful God to have. Think as David did. God is an awesome God. The human language does not even have words to describe to us, nor are our minds capable of grasping the greatness of our God. The greatest thought that ever enters the human mind is the thought of God. Have a good day.